What's up, everybody? It's KelseeBrianaJai here with a review and tutorial and swatches of the new Natasha Denona Star Palette. I ordered this from Beautylish when it first released. I woke up at the crack of dawn. I had all my alarms set. I was ready to go. I was like, I am getting this palette. So of course I have it here for you guys to share, and I'm excited to talk to you guys and share my thoughts with this palette. I ordered my palette from Beautylish. They do have this palette available at Sephora. Originally, when Natasha Denona eyeshadows were made available sometime earlier this year, they were only available at Beautylish or if you order from overseas, but she has now expanded, and congratulations to her for expanding her market and now being carried in Sephora. Beautylish. I ordered my palette from Beautylish. I love Beautylish because they are so professional. They ship so fast. They package so well, and also they put so much thought behind their brand. I gave them a call that morning because I couldn't get my hands on it. Somebody called me back. Like, they are just a really personal company, and I really appreciate that. My package came like super double, triple wrapped in this box, as well as they have the cute packaging paper. It's like wrapping paper with Natasha Denona eyeshadows. I saved it so I could show you guys. I just thought that was a cute little touch. Like I said, Beautylish is a super cute company. They also have a payment plan option if you don't want to just go ahead and buy anything right out. They split up the payments into 3 easy payments. It's not a credit card. It's no credit checks. It just requires you to have a Visa. And they charge you in 3 increments over the month. So say for instance, if I wanted to do the 3 payment plans with this palette, I would pay 1/3 of it in November, 1/3 of it in December, and 1/3 of it in January, and so forth and so forth, depending on when you ordered it. So that is also a cool feat that nobody else does. I wish other companies did that, like with no credit cards. It's amazing. Like, literally, I love that they do that. Maybe my lights are too bright. It comes in a white box, and you're able to store your palette in there, and then the actual palette has this really nice subdued metallic finish, and it has like little stars embossed on it. It says Natasha Denona. It almost feels like a hefty cardboard, and on the outside of it, it has a nice piece of like faux leather. I don't really know the name of this material. It feels pretty sturdy. It's heavy. If I drop it, I don't really feel like I'm going to shatter my eyeshadows in an instant. So that's really nice, and it's magnetized, so it's pretty hard to open. So then when you open up the palette, it does have a nice size mirror, and then it also has an overlay of the eyeshadows, which I like this better than last time, because last time I didn't even get this. The names of the eyeshadows were just printed on the back of the box, and I didn't get this. Some people got this last time with the other palettes, so I'm glad that she did this. However, I would prefer if she just actually printed the names on the palette, but baby steps. In the eyeshadow palette, is divided into 2 categories. It's 18 eyeshadows total, so there's a ton of product in here. This palette retails for $169, which is pretty pricey for an eyeshadow palette. In comparison to nowadays, we're pretty accustomed to paying $40, $50, $60 is kind of pushing it. So for $169, this has to be amazing. So in this palette, there are 18 brand new eyeshadows, no repeats from any of the other eyeshadows she offered. I'm not 100% sure if this palette is permanent or if it's limited edition. I know that Natasha Denona is calling this a holiday palette, so I don't know if it's just here for the holidays or what. So the eyeshadows in this palette have been specially placed in order to work with each other. So reading directly from Beautylish's website, it says that this palette is designed ready to wear eye looks effortlessly with the Star Palette's easy to follow format. Each vertical, horizontal, and diagonal row creates a complete look. Sweep on Natasha's signature ultra blendable pigment packed eyeshadow formula with no fallout, creasing, or fading. Experience multi-dimensional star-like shimmer with the new crystal finish infused with innovative chroma crystals that reflects light for a brilliant star shine effect. So there are 4 different finishes in this palette. There are metallic shades, duochrome shades, creamy matte shades, and crystal shades. So the crystals are very gritty, and I applied 3 crystals on my lid out of the 4, and I had a bit of difficulty just applying it straight without any glitter glue. So you definitely need another adhesive in addition to your already eyeshadow base, because these just do not adhere to the eye. They're not very smoothly pigmented. They're not the same as the other eyeshadows that were in previous Natasha Denona palettes, so just make sure you make note of that. These are very glittery, very prone to fallout. So if you don't have anything like a glue adhesive, then I would definitely say steer clear of these until you get that. So also another tip that I would say when you're using these is to do your foundation after you do your eyeshadow, because I did my foundation first and I had to go back and flick off a ton of the glitter, which I still see a lot of the specks of the glitter just everywhere on my face, because these are very prone to fallout. Despite her claims that these are not fallout prone eyeshadows, I did experience a lot of fallout, and I did use packing techniques as well as going back with the glitter glue. The glitter glue did help a bit. However, the glitter glue didn't totally make me not have any fallout, so just be aware that that is something that you are going to have to deal with when using the crystal eyeshadows. The colors are beautiful, but they're just not refined enough for them not to have fallout. It's pretty distinct when you actually look at the palette, which ones are the mattes, which ones are the metallics, and which ones are the duochrome. Duochrome obviously is going to have a light shift to it. The crystals are going to be super chunky and glittery. They literally pop out of the palette. Like, just looking at the palette, the crystals just pop out and immediately get your attention because they're so sparkly. The metallics, which are really nice because they're just very wet looking. The creamy mattes actually surprised me. So going in with this palette initially, I noticed that the matte eyeshadows in this palette are significantly better than the mattes that are in her prior palettes. So I'm very pleased with those, because when I first got the palette, honestly, I was pretty disappointed that the mattes overruled all of the shimmering eyeshadows pretty much, or like it's equal, because I really love like her duochrome and glittery eyeshadow texture in the former palettes that I have of hers, and the mattes were good, but they just weren't good enough for me to have half of my palette being mattes, if that makes sense. So, but going in this palette, these mattes are way better. I can tell that these eyeshadows are a new formula, and for the mattes, I really love the mattes a lot better because they just glide on. They are amazing. They feel like silk, and I'm really impressed that she stepped her game up in that regard. For these eyeshadows, the crystal, she recommends that you use your finger to apply them. In the tutorial, I did go ahead and use my finger just to see if it made a difference as far as application goes. It really didn't, to be honest. Just as long as you have a flat shader brush and you pack it on, you'll get the same effect as if you pack it on with your finger. Let me go ahead and break down the cost for you guys. So like I said, there are 18 different shades in here. This palette retails for $169. That makes each shade in here worth roughly $9.39, which is not too bad considering that in each pan is 2.5 grams of products, or 0.08 ounces per pan. When you're looking at other Dazzle eyeshadows or other matte eyeshadows, that's pretty much a little bit less than what they would run if these were sold individually. So I pulled 3 other eyeshadows that are similar to the crystal eyeshadows in how they're supposed to apply and look on the eye. So I have the MAC Pressed Pigments, which these are now discontinued, but I just pulled it for reference. I have the MAC Dazzle eyeshadows, which are very similar as far as what I'm feeling like she wanted the use of these to be. And then I pulled the Urban Decay Moon Dust eyeshadow, which I can't open. Okay. So in comparison, the Urban Decay Moon Dust eyeshadow retails for $21. In each pan, it has 0.05 ounces of product, or 1.5 grams. So as you can see, it's a little bit less than what is in the Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette. I actually really like the Moon Dust eyeshadows. I feel like they are really nicely refined. They give a nice sheen on the lid, and I feel like they're beautiful shades. So when comparing them to the crystal ones, which are pretty much the stars of the show, if you will, pretty much people are buying the palette for the shimmery shades, because the matte shades, even though they're really nice and she definitely stepped her cookies up, they still are like colors that we already have. So the unique shades in here are the sparkly ones. So when comparing the other sparkly formula, I prefer this one. It's more refined and it doesn't give as much fallout. So now for my ultimate favorite favorite pressed glitter formula, the MAC Dazzle shadows. I immediately bought all of these when these were released. These retail for $18 and it has 1.5 grams or 0.05 US ounces of product in them. So again, with the MAC, you're getting less product than what's in a single Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette. I definitely prefer the MAC Dazzle shadows. Just in the MAC Dazzle shadows, it's very small particles of glitter in them, and I really love this formula. So if I were to choose which one I would prefer over the other, I would pick the MAC ones. And then we have the MAC Pressed Pigment, which, like I said, these are discontinued, but I remember these being $21, and it has 3 grams of product or 0.1 US ounces of product. So this one is the biggest and this one has the least color payoff. So overall, here are these. Let me go ahead and compare it to the other Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes that I have. I lusted over these palettes. I mean, just looking at the palette, there is a big difference in the eyeshadow formula as well as the performance of these palettes versus the Star palette. Like I said it before, she did change the formula of the matte eyeshadows. That I can 100% tell, as well as she included a new formula, the crystals, that were not in either one of these palettes or in her 10 eyeshadow palette, which that accounts for all of the eyeshadows in her brand. So I am not a big fan of that crystal eyeshadow formula. Honestly, she could have just made those duochromes and I would have been a happy camper. A lot of people were up in arms about the original 28 eyeshadow palettes because they weren't paraben free and they had a lot of additives in them, and a lot of people were not a fan of that. And in this new palette, this is talc and paraben free as opposed to the older ones, which are not. Also, something I wanted to note, these eyeshadows have a slight smell to them. It's not bad, it's just a plasticky smell, and the new Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette does not have any hint of a scent. I like that hint of a scent. As usual, the Natasha Denona eyeshadows are very pigmented, and pretty much all of them, with the exception of the crystal eyeshadows, are going to be pretty nice to work with. And before I jump into this tutorial, I do want to go ahead and give you guys swatches of this palette, so make sure you check that out. And then immediately following the swatches will be a tutorial. So I hope that this video is helpful for anybody. Let me know if you're picking up this palette down below, and I will talk to you guys later. First things first, let's go ahead and prime our eyes. I'm using the MAC Paint Pot in the color Laying Low. I'm going to lightly apply some of this underneath my brow. Going into the palette, I'm going to take this very neutral flesh colored shadow called Attic with my MAC 252 brush. Let's tap off some of that excess, and I'm going to set my paint pot. It's a little bit darker than I would prefer, but it works on my complexion. Next, I'm going to take the color Flesh with a blending brush. I'm going to take this color right in my crease. I'm going all the way on top of my crease to really extend my crease and make my eye shape a little bit bigger to have more space for more eyeshadow. But make sure you leave a little bit of space right underneath the brow. Next, going right underneath Flesh, I'm going to take the color Earth with the same brush. Underneath the color Flesh, I'm going to begin to apply this color very lightly. I don't want this look to be super, super dark. So I'm going to go in with a lighter hand and go back and forth. So now lastly, I'm going to take the color Gemma with the same brush, and I'm going to go directly where my crease is. So right where Earth ended, I'm going to go right here with Gemma. These matte eyeshadows are so smooth and silky. Next, switching to a flat eyeshadow brush, I'm going to take the color Polaris, and oh God, I just got glitter all over myself, so be careful. I'm going to pat this on the inner corner. So instead of going in with just the base that I initially applied, I'm now going to switch gears and apply a glitter glue. This one is by Too Faced. You definitely need a strong adhesive to hold these on your eyelid. So I'm going to take a little bit of the Too Faced glitter glue and the brush that I was using initially. This is the Marc Jacobs, the conceal brush, and I'm going to pat that glitter glue on my lid. So I'm not going to take that over any of the blend work that I did in my crease. So I'm going to go back in with the color Polaris now that I have some glitter glue applied, and see if that helps. And it did. I don't have nearly as much fallout as I did before. And I'm going to go in with the color Cosmo. And I'm going to pick the color up with the palette laying flat, just because these have a ton of glitter everywhere. And I'm going to carefully press this on my lid. So pick up some with the brush and tap off the excess, because these are super, super glittery. And press, do not rub these on the lid where you want them to lay. So I want this to be blended right next to that color that I applied down on the inner corner, but I'm going to leave a little bit of space right here because I want another color to be there. But just take your time with this, and you may have to build it up to get it to the intensity that you want it as well. And so next on the outer lid, I'm going to take the color Spectrum and blend it with this color. Make sure that it is blended. Then I'm going to go back with this color and mix a little bit of that with this color and go right back in the crease just to re-deepen it. I'm going to try to apply a little bit of this eyeshadow right here with my finger and see what different results I get. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the other eye, and I'll come back and we'll finish off the look together. Okay, I have the eyeshadow applied on my lid. So before I do my eyeliner, as usual, I'm going to do a little bit of concealer to clean up underneath, because I do have quite a significant amount of fallout. So I'm going to take the Tarte Shape Tape. I have the color Tan and Clean Up. To set my under eye, I'm using the Lancome Absolute Powder in the color Absolute Pesh. And before I jump back into my eyes, I'm going to set my entire face using my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish. This one is in the color Medium Tan. Right, everything else can get paused for now. I'm going to go ahead and go back to doing my eyes. I'm going to do a little bit of eyeliner. This is my beloved Tom Ford eyeliner, and I'm going to apply a wing liner. I want a little bit of nude eyeliner, so I'm going to take my MAC Chromographic pencil in NW25/NC30, and I'm going to apply that on my waterline. For contour, I'm going to take Sculpt by MAC. So for highlighter and blush, I'm going to take this Nutcracker Sweet Copper Face Compacts by MAC. I just got this. This is actually my first time using it, and it has Whisper of Guilt and Pleasure Model Blush. I'm going to go all the way across the bottom with Gemma. This is my Tom Ford number 12 brush. I'm going to begin to apply this eyeshadow. Make sure you connect it to the top. Very inner tear ducts, I'm going to go back with this color right here. Again, I forgot the dang name. Polaris. And lightly reapply it on my inner corner, because I feel like a lot of it is gone. And then connect it to the bottom as my bottom highlight. Now we need to just do some mascara and add lashes. I'm using some MAC number 48 lashes. So I'm going to apply some glue to these and let them get tacky. And while we're waiting on that, I'll do my lips. And for my lips, I'm going to take a liquid lipstick by Dose of Colors in the color Mood. I've been waiting all year to wear this lipstick, so I'm busting it out. Alright, love, so this is the final look. So I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please let me know down in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe before you leave. Let me know if you are going to pick up this palette, or if you're like, I feel like passing, or you have the other Natasha Denona eyeshadows. I enjoy talking with you guys down in the comments, so definitely let's get the conversation started. Also, make sure you follow me on my Snapchat and also my Instagram, and we can keep up with each other when I'm not here on YouTube. I have a lot of new things that are coming up soon, so make sure you check back here, and I will talk to you all in my next video. Smooches. Bye.